we all know that the baseball All-Star game is the best All-Star game out there, but its TV ratings are slipping. It's below the Pro Bowl. And you know, I think the way you solve this, and I want to get Kevin's take on it and also Shai's take, there's two things I would do. First of all, I would forget about home field advantage. I would, however, have the All-Star game between a U.S. All-Star team and a world All-Star team, much like the Futures game. I would have, so you could have an All-Star team with players born in the U.S. against an All-Star team of players from outside the U.S. Second thing I would do, I would keep the Home Run Derby, but what I would do is I would have the Futures game on Monday night in prime time. I would have a scaled-down Home Run Derby, make it a little more fun, and I would have obviously two teams captained by major leaguers, but I would have those captains pick a minor leaguer on the team. So in other words, you might have 3 major leaguers and 1 minor leaguer and have a scaled-down Home Run Derby. Shai, I want to ask you, what do you think the All-Star game needs to do? Does it need to do anything?
Well, the one point that I think is that you make that's really apt is that they've definitely buried the Futures game because it's competing against regular season games on the Sunday afternoon. So nobody or very few people have a chance to watch it because most people are really following their teams. They want to see what's going on with their team. So, I mean, they're really not giving that event a chance. They're basically relegating it to only the hardcore prospect-oriented fans. So I think that's a shame, and moving it on to Monday would certainly address that. And I am fully in favor of shortening the Home Run Derby. The 3 rounds is just dreadful. And, you know, I think you and I have spent a lot of All-Star games pissing and moaning about the middle of the first round, about how much longer that thing has to go. And, you know, by the middle of the first round, you're like, all right, uncle, just end this thing, somebody. And I think shortening that thing would be a great idea. Now, I mean, I'm one of the people who doesn't really hate the All-Star game format. I don't mind that they're playing for the World Series. You know, I think, you know, alternating it between leagues each year, it's not like that was exactly this riveting formula that made so much more sense or anything like that. So I think attaching it to this game and it's one extra game during the World Series, I don't know that it's necessarily that significant. I don't have a problem with that, but I do like the idea of a U.S. versus the world format. I think that would certainly add a little bit of intrigue, and it would give fans internationally maybe a little bit more incentive to watch now. But again, I don't think they necessarily have to alter the game. I'd love for them to change the Futures game and shorten the Derby and put that together on the Monday. But I'm kind of indifferent either way of the game. I don't mind it. I find it entertaining, and if they left it alone, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, people have made the point that they would like to see some sort of skills competition, as you see in the NHL All-Star Game. But I asked a general manager about that a couple of years ago, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's what I want." He said, "I want my right fielder throwing his arm out, trying to hit a target at third base." Yeah, he said that's the idea that you're going to have a skills competition that just doesn't fly. Or he said, "Let's have a 100-yard race between the 2 fastest players." Yeah, I said, I want my leadoff hitter blowing his hamstring. Pardon me, blowing his hamstring in a 100-meter race. Kevin, I want to ask you, what would you do to make the All-Star game
Well,
better?
I think the first thing I'd do, I like the way you guys said shorten the Home Run Derby. I think it's way too long. I think guys after the Home Run Derby, they're actually in it, seem to struggle during the season because they put a lot of energy. They have to change their swing. Secondly, meaning towards the game, being as an ex-player, I never did like the game actually mattering. We've said this before because you want to have the 162 games matter on where you play the World Series games, who gets home field advantage. And when it comes down to one game between, let's say, a manager that doesn't know his players, know who the best guy to put on the field to win the game is, I just kind of have a problem with that. And being players that show up with their families and you know, want to do things more off the field than what happens on the field, I think that just kind of turning into an issue. And the Futures game, I think, is a great game for people to watch, for upcoming players, and I kind of like that. And I just think they need to make it a little bit more fun for the actual player making the All-Star team.
Shy, I can hear a bunch of people filing in. I'm going to let you go do some work, my friend.
All right, thanks, and
See
happy
you.
baseball solstice.
Yeah, happy
thanks.
baseball solstice.